Let's get a picture of Bat Boy up. Bat Child found in cave.
That's him.
So yeah. So what's the deal with Bat Boy?
Bat Boy was
why is Bat Boy even a thing?
Oh, it was a headline years ago. The National,
just like a tabloid.
It was tabloid National Enquirer.
National Enquirer.
It was actually I saw it. It was really weird. I went to. I guess it was. I don't know when it was. I feel like it was the 70s. I was pretty young.
So was it a New York thing or a national?
No, it was. I don't know. Is it the national? You have it right there. So it's
that says Enquirer? Weekly World News.
Oh, then it was Weekly World News. Okay.
All I know is you showed me Bat Boy.
Yeah.
When I was about 10.
Yeah.
It totally scared the hell out of me. I hated seeing Bat Boy.
I remember walking in. I was living in the Bronx at the time. I went down to there was a store downstairs that we lived over, and they sold newspapers. And I went down to get a newspaper. And I went in and I went up to the newspaper stand, and there was Bat Boy. I went, oh my God.
Well, it's scary because his mouth is about twice the size it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do bats even have giant mouths? I don't think so.
But the thing is, this news, what is it called? World News? What is it?
Weekly World News.
Weekly World News.
Yeah.
It was on the newsstands in like supermarkets. So like when you're for the whole week, it was like a weekly.
Right.
So for that whole week, when you're standing online at the supermarket, you had this.
It's terrible.
It was so weird.
No, yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah, Bat Boy. If that was now, that would be a meme.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that could become a meme right now. Actually,
we should try to make it a meme.
No, I still don't like seeing Bat Boy.
Yeah,
I still don't want to see him.
All right, so what do we have to talk about today? We have a lot.
Do you want to start with 007? We wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, we can start with that.
What's the news with James Bond now? So it's owned. So MGM owns the right to produce it.
They have the way it's put in the papers is that they now have creative control. This is what concerns everybody.
But they already owned the rights to produce James Bond movies. I think the franchise.
I think they did.
MGM owns it, and then Amazon bought MGM.
Right.
So then Jeff Bezos essentially owns the right to produce James Bond movies.
Right.
But Barbara Broccoli, who is the daughter of Cubby Broccoli, who's the original guy.
Cubby Broccoli? Is that Albert Broccoli? Is that his real name? There's an Albert Broccoli.
But anyway, she maintained creative control, so there was a stalemate going on.
That is correct.
Where she didn't want some goofy, satirized, superhero style movie being made, right, with James Bond, like a Marvel movie type thing.
Correct.
I guess that's probably what she didn't want. She didn't want it ruined, so she was holding out, not letting Amazon go forward, making James Bond movies, and she just relented.
Yeah.
So now Jeff Bezos is in complete control. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if he decides that James Bond is going to be, I don't know, some milquetoasty little psychotic,
feminine LA boy, or
5 foot tall, pimple faced, whatever. That's going to be James Bond.
Right.
Listen, James Bond has to be true to Ian Fleming's vision.
Yeah.
I had this argument with somebody the other day.
Yeah.
And he said, well, he can see the character evolving. He's not against that. I said, okay, well, a character can evolve, but there are certain characteristics to James Bond that have to remain intact. He's got to be handsome. He's got to be debonair. He's got to be British. He's got to be a killer.
Right.
He's got to have a
he has to be a bit chauvinistic.
He's got to be a chauvinist. He's got to be.
Right.
And he's got to be something. He's got to be a ladies' man.
Right.
Which is
James
Bond, a flaw, by the way, because he's a sex addict, James Bond.
But James Bond should be chauvinistic. Like, that's James Bond.
He should be chauvinistic.
To a degree.
Yeah.
And a little tough.
That's going to offend people, though.
But very, very gentlemanly and debonair as well. That's kind of the thing. So, and that's like the epitome. Sean Connery's James Bond is like the epitome for all like original.
Yeah, right.
Like, James Bond fans.
Now, my understanding is, though, Sean Connery is not exactly like the Ian Fleming character.
Well, the Ian Fleming character, the novel character was a little more complicated. I think the idea is the Daniel Craig James Bond, which I know you never loved.
I didn't.
Took on some of the darker traits, like, he's an alcoholic and he deals with depression and all that stuff or whatever. But
that's not the James Bond I grew up with. That's the
but
problem.
I like the James Bond that's like he gets away with anything.
He's like a Hollywood Jesus. He always survives. He always comes back.
Right.
You can't kill him.
Nothing bothers him.
Nothing bothers him.
But
Cool as a cucumber.
So Jeff Bezos tweeted yesterday, or I guess no longer tweeting, he posted on X. He said, "Who do you want to be the next James Bond?" So he's already like trying to jump on it. Everybody, do you know who everybody wants? Do you have any opinion yourself?
Is he black or white?
He's white.
Oh, one of those sexiest men's alive.
Maybe. I don't know.
Guys?
Henry Cavill.
Okay.
They want Henry Cavill.
Okay.
So Henry, do you know who that is?
No.
Okay. Henry Cavill was most famously Superman.
Oh yeah, sure.
He was Superman.
Okay.
In like the more recent films.
Yeah. Dark hair, muscular.
Yeah. Very chiseled.
Yeah,
he basically looks perfect.
Okay.
But I'm not just concerned with looks, because I definitely don't want him to look feminine or
no, they might do that.
But he looks good. He's got an English accent.
Okay.
I did not know, so I started looking him up because I want to know about him. My big thing is like, is this guy going to play I want a traditional Hollywood James Bond. I don't want this like 21st century like stuff. So
and I'm old. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
Right. You're a young guy. You don't want it either. It's not just
yeah. I mean, one of the biggest movies in the past decade was the new Top Gun, right? And the idea was, it's like, it's just guys shooting. Right? It's just guys shooting other people in planes.
Right.
It's like, yeah, believe it or not, everybody still wants that.
We like that.
Everybody still likes it. So the thing is, they have to meet all these requirements now with the DEI stuff, and that's why a lot of it happens. But a lot of that's going out the window.
I hope it is.
And so I looked up Henry Cavill because I wanted to know, well, what's his deal? Because he would have to be for it too. He would have to. He has to embody the part, not just look it. And he's interesting. He's more independent when it comes to, he doesn't like talking about politics. He doesn't share about politics. Also, he's not from the UK, believe it or not.
So why does he have an English accent?
Because he's from Jersey.
Oh, sure. Must be Cambridge.
Okay. Not New Jersey.
Oh, I see.
Jersey. The actual Jersey. Which is off the coast of France.
The island.
Yes.
Yeah.
The island next to like Guernsey, which is another one
Guernsey
of those.
and Jersey.
Yeah. So they're like owned.
Guernsey cows.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, they're famous for their cows.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so they're like islands that are they're owned by Britain, but they're not part of the UK. So they're British subjects, but they're not
sovereign. They're not sovereign nations. I mean,
if they're owned by, they're dependent on Britain. Yeah. So they're under the crown, so they're British subjects, but they're not part of the UK. Right. So anyway,
like what Canada's going to be to the United States soon.
Yeah, with Governor Trudeau, right?
Governor Trudeau.
I think he's out in March anyway. But he's very private. He has had quotes before about he likes traditional values.
Right.
He likes how things used to be. He was a little critical of the Me Too movement. He was like, well, now men are just afraid to be men, be gentlemanly, court women. He's like, you can't even ask a woman. So, and he actually had to walk back stuff and apologize because people freaked out.
So is there a bad part to this?
No, it seems
like he might be good?
There might be one bad part.
What?
Okay. It seems like
he doesn't have a penis.
What?
He's a transgender.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, with a chin implant. No, he's obviously a man.
Oh, okay.
He's very obviously a man. So I'll show you this. He actually, and he's open to it. He's like, he's obviously very interested in this part, and he's been so for years. He auditioned for it like 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. So,
by the way, and not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you.
Okay. You would never interrupt me.
Pierce Brosnan was that way too. He always wanted to be Bond.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of interesting.
Which is funny. I guess when you're young and you want to be James Bond, I think you have to hope that you grow up and still look really like, I hope I grow up tall and handsome, because if you don't, you can never play James Bond.
You might be related to Brosnan.
Brosnan, yeah, we have Brosnans.
We have Brosnans in our family,
right?
From the other side.
Well, then probably
my grandmother on my father's side was a Brosnan.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a great James Bond.
I liked him,
but
one of my favorites.
Writing for his movies was so ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was so. GoldenEye was amazing, and then the next, I forget if it was 2 or 3.
Yeah,
were just like like, who wrote this?
Yeah, but it didn't
crazy.
it didn't, for goofiness, it didn't, none of them beat Moonraker.
Yeah, well, Roger Moore, I know, but it was almost like his were like kind of campy. It was like
his were campy anyway. Yeah. I don't.
Moonraker was silly. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone, the same guy I was arguing with, that I told you that I had the argument with. We were talking about Moonraker. He said, "Oh, he hated Moonraker." And I said, "Well, I know it's goofy and it's silly." I said, "But I have a soft spot in my heart for Moonraker."
Yeah.
And the reason is that I saw Moonraker with your mother, my wife.
Yeah.
On our honeymoon. We were in the Poconos on our honeymoon. Yeah. We had a week down there, and we drove into Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, because it was the summer release was Moonraker that year. It was 1979. So I sat there. It was sort of like, that's our honeymoon Bond flick. You know, it's kind of cool.
I gotta say, one of my favorite memories was when just because it's so cool. Of course, I love James Bond. It was so cool. We got to see. It was after Roger Moore passed away, I think. Yeah. They aired, or they showed his movies in the theaters.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So we went up to Boston, and you and me saw. It was a double feature.
Yeah.
I forget the other one, but one of them was A Spy Who Loved Me.
But yeah, that's a good movie.
And for some reason, I hadn't seen that movie. Like, I saw all of them but that one. Oh. And I didn't even realize that I had
so you saw that on the big screen also for the first time. Oh, that's excellent. Okay.
And it's a really good James. It's one of his best.
How come I don't know that? We were together.
You probably did.
I probably just forgot.
Yeah, you probably forgot. But it's definitely one of the best Roger Moore movies.
Right.
It's A Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
It's just so cool seeing like an actual James, because the Daniel Craig ones are okay, but they still feel very modern.
Yeah.
And I'm just not the biggest. You know, my problem with modern movies is all the camera shots, all the dialogue, everything is so intense that I
know.
Can't.
It's too much excitement.
Yeah, it's like if you just put a camera in a room and film two people talking. I don't need like close-ups where I can see the goosebumps on his cheek. I don't need. I just want to see two people talking.
Yeah, I know.
You know, like how it is if you're actually in a room watching people talk. Right. You know.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the pores in their skin.
Yeah, I don't need that. It's too much. It's too much stimulation. But we saw that. And okay, do you remember? So people who went to go see that movie, they were all James Bond fans, because this is like, you know, a special release in the theaters. Do you remember that one guy who was by himself?
I was thinking about him. Yeah.
And we saw him in the lobby.
Was he dressed like Roger Moore?
No, he tried to dress like Roger Moore.
Yeah.
So he had like some goofy a mismatched vest and some oversized blazer.
I remember that.
And he's like, you know, he thinks he's dressed like James Bond. He cosplayed like James Bond. Oh, man. Except he's got like, you know, like a goofy buzz cut and glasses. Yeah. And you saw him in the lobby. Yeah. And you're like, oh, excuse me, which way's the theater? Like, you thought he was an usher. Yeah. You thought he was a movie theater usher. And he's trying to dress like James Bond.
But he's trying to dress like Roger Moore's James Bond. But he wore a lot of bright colors, blues and grays and whites. And
and this guy was approaching that, I guess?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he must have missed the mark because you mistook him for an usher.
I thought he was an usher. Yeah. He wore a lot of blazers.
Yeah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But anyway, so Henry Cavill,
right?
He's he's in the running. He's like the front runner in the public eye right now. Okay, like that's who the public wants. But it's not just like, you know, does he look the part? Can he embody the part? Like, does he have the right mentality? But also, can he act the part too? Yeah, he's got to be a good James Bond, right? As far as acting goes. So he auditioned for James Bond before they picked Craig, and you can see that online. So I found it. I watched a few minutes. I'm going to show you. You want to see it?
Yeah, definitely, okay. Absolutely.
So you can get a glimpse on what he'd be like. Now he's a lot younger here.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't actually know when it's from.
He has to get a haircut.
Yeah. So the first thing to point out is actors, of course, they don't show up looking the part for auditions because they got other stuff going on too. So you can't expect that. But anyway, so here he is. So let's watch.
Hope your third is where your real talent lies.
One rises to meet the challenge.
Double.
Sweetie. Cat.
5. 6. Bank loses.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
The very words I live by. So tell me, What are the words you live by?
The trick is to quit while you're ahead.
I never learned that trick. Perhaps you'll show me how it's done. Vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. And you?
The same.
And how do you take it?
Straight up.
It's a bit stiff.
With a twist. Thank you. Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Senior on the top.
On it.
On the top.
Your accent, it's Georgian.
Very good, Mr. Bond. You have been to Russia?
Not recently. But I used to drop in occasionally, shoot in and out.
Ah, it's very different now. A land of opportunity.
With a Ferrari in every garage.
Not quite. That belongs to a friend.
Tip for your friend. The registration plates for the French new models all begin with letter L. Even the counterfeit ones.
And what rank do you hold with the motor vehicles department, Mr. Bond?
Commander.
Shall we go?
This one is an admiral.
I like one who enjoys pulling back.
Okay, so it's a bit quiet.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Okay.
It's a bit stiff.
Yeah, he's a bit stiff, a little low. That can be he could be coached out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate him. Okay. Very Sean Connery-ish.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like a bit reserved, but a bit confident,
Yeah.
a bit cocky.
Yeah, with the eyebrows. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little Shawnee there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, maybe he'll get the part. Now, okay, so
And this is old. I mean, he's much more developed as, an actor now, I'm sure.
He's got to be at least 10 years older now.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's in his 40s now, but like early 40s. So
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect age. Probably.
It actually is.
Sean Connery.
Yeah.
This is so weird. Most people think of Sean Connery like a middle-aged man, even as Bond, like this season. He was only like, he was in his he was like 30
Yeah.
when he played James Bond.
Yeah.
And he looks 40.
He looks 40.
He looks 40 and he was
Sure.
30. And I think he had a toupee on.
He
at
did
30.
for all of
I
that.
think he was already like
He was
badly
he was
balding
He
by
was
then.
going bald. Yeah.
right. Which is, I guess, if you're that age and you're going bald, it's like okay. But once you reach like 50,
Yeah.
now it's like it's okay that you're balding, and you grow this beautiful beard or this mustache with these big dark eyebrows, and then he's just like this masculine 50-year-old man, and nobody cares that you're balding
No.
anymore.
Well, he was
right?
a masculine, balding
yeah.
older man.
Yeah.
You know, long before it became fashionable to be bald.
Right.
That started up in, I guess, in the 90s, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. People started shaving their heads.
But he played his last Bond movie. He was pretty old though, right?
Oh yeah.
He was Roger Moore too. He played a very old.
everybody
He
was
was in his like
complaining.
60s. Yeah, he's like
I don't know. Was he that old? Yeah, I
I
guess
think he
so.
was, or maybe late 50s. But
I don't think he was.
So
60
anyway,
yet.
that's Henry Cavill.
Okay.
A bit stiff, but it's an audition.
I don't hate him.
So
We have to look. We have to know more.
we'll see.
We'll see.
So okay, so then that brings up Jeff Bezos. So it's weird that Jeff Bezos the first thing he does, like as soon as this news breaks,
Yeah.
is he goes to X and he posts, "Who do you want to play Bond?" Because that's not something that he doesn't usually, frankly, interact with the public, right? So it seems to me that he's making an effort to sort of reimagine himself, like be reimagined in the public eye. He wants he's probably looking to rebrand. Right.
Bezos is.
Yeah. All these tech founders, they're trying to change their image because everybody hates them.
Everybody hates them now.
Everybody hates Mark Zuckerberg.
Right.
Everybody hates Jeff Bezos.
Right.
Like it's not even a conservative versus liberal issue. It's just like nobody trusts them. Everybody hates them for different reasons, right?
So what's Tim doing? Tim Apple.
Tim Apple, he's doing nothing. I don't know. I think he's
I don't think he's gonna. He can't rebrand himself. He's just the.
I think he's rebranding Apple into the ground is what he's doing, actually. Apple's revenue has not increased in the past few years. It's
Right.
not, and with inflation, I don't know. You think they should be making more money, but anyway, yeah. So Jeff Bezos posted that. So I think he's trying to do what Mark Zuckerberg is trying to do. You know how Mark Zuckerberg has changed his look too?
Yeah, you got a perm.
I don't think it's perm. I think it's real.
Oh,
I think
really?
it's real. Yeah, I mean, he's Jewish. He's got the Jew fro.
That's a Jew fro, you think?
Yeah, it's a Jew fro. But he's wearing like a gold chain and like loose t-shirt. He has like an LA look now. He's like a bro.
Yeah.
And he's doing MMA. And he's done too much wrong for too long that I'll just never trust him.
Nobody's
I'm sorry,
trust him. I don't trust any of these
He's not
guys.
going to convince me.
No,
he's not going to
can't
convince me.
trust anyone.
But I think that's what. Okay, Jeff Bezos though, with this James Bond thing,
right?
He has a chance to like totally flip his image if
he does.
If he takes personal charge of James Bond and says, I'm going to do to James Bond what they did with Top Gun. I'm going to make just a good, I was going to say all American. James Bond is not American. You know what I mean, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a traditional, 1960s,
if he does that, he will be
Bond.
He will be a hero.
If he does that,
because everyone's afraid that the new James Bond
is going to be woke.
It's going to be woke.
Yeah,
right.
Either a woman, a black guy,
right,
or and done because it's like we got to get a minority, we got to get what change, we got to just because they're shoving it down our throats.
Done for that reason.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
No, it's a terrible thing to do. So if he just makes a traditional, like great classic James Bond movie and takes credit for it all along the way, like here's who, it's like, I think he's going to be great. Here's who I picked. He could win back the trust of the public.
Absolutely could.
So this is a big chance for him.
Instantly.
I hope he's smart enough to do it.
He's a smart guy, but I
don't know.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Actually, there's a video of him. Let me see if I can find it. There's a video of him going through a factory. Let's see if this has it. Okay. All right, I have the video. Okay. This is Jeff Bezos walking through one of his factories.
Okay.
Or warehouses, which he doesn't normally do. And somebody tries to talk to him.
He doesn't walk. Wait a minute. He doesn't walk through his warehouses.
No. I'm sure he does, but they have for whatever reason it was an event. They have a camera on him.
Okay.
And I mean, if you were just in a random, there are tons of warehouses around the country.
Yeah,
Amazon.
okay.
If all of a sudden Jeff Bezos doing a walkthrough, to be like, oh my god.
Sure.
When I worked at Whole Foods, which is ironically owned by Amazon now, John Mackey was the founder of Whole Foods. There were always rumors like, oh, John Mackey like did a walkthrough last year or something. It's like a big deal.
Right.
Usually unannounced, but it's like you hear about it beforehand, like through the grapevine. And even sometimes like, yeah, he like, he wore a hoodie or something,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, here's stuff like that. So here's Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
Hey, how are you? Good, thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that. I've been in the business 36 years and
really appreciate that.
I'll tell you now, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, United Technologies, I worked for all three for more than 10 years. It's the best company I ever worked for.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to tell me that.
I will. This will be my last job.
All right.
I don't have to look anymore anywhere.
Thank you. That's so nice.
That's always good to hear.
What a sweet thing to say.
That's all. And now I'll slip him the 20 on the way out.
I know. I didn't even tip him. I mean,
Okay. So now there's a lot going on the screen. I think they're trying to show you.
I mean, I'm not terribly impressed by this.
Yeah. So let's just get this out of the way. The point of the video was to show you how much he's making compared to the worker in real time. So it's supposed to be like over that 30-second interaction, how much did Jeff Bezos make versus the worker? That's why they're numbers. But aside, so it's like he made, I don't know, there's $14,000 over him.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the point I wanted to make though, is that interaction is like not very impressive to me.
Right. It's not.
And Jeff Bezos seems genuinely surprised that somebody reached out to thank him.
Right.
Which means it does not happen often.
To
me,
I guess.
Like he's like, thank you so much. Which I'm thinking like, if you're the founder of a company and you're like, you don't hear that a lot. Like if you're like surprised to be like, oh wow, like my workers like working here. Like wow, somebody told me they like working here. To me, that's not a good sign that he was so surprised by that. Also, he walked away kind of fast too. So I don't know. You would think he would have taken more time with the guy.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
You said you didn't find impressive. Why?
No, this is something that a CEO should do.
Right. It should be normal.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting that he seemed surprised that it happened.
Yeah, I guess he was surprised.
So I think he's trying to remake himself.
Well, as the myth goes with Steve Jobs, people were afraid to run into him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's stories about, you don't even know if they're true, but stories where, he would get in an elevator with somebody, ride the elevator up, and they'd be like this, and they'd be fired by the end of the ride.
Really?
Yeah, he would ask them, what do you do here?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, that's now Elon's famous line.
Right.
It's like basically, it's like, what do you do? And like, what have you accomplished this week? What did you get done this week? What did you get done this week? You better have a good answer.
Yeah, you should have it.
I actually... It's related to this.
It should be, not only should you have it, you shouldn't have to prepare an answer. You should have been productive that
You
week.
should just have an answer.
Oh, yeah, here's what I did.
Right.
I'm busy.
I just happened to see a survey or a Pew Research poll yesterday that had Elon Musk's approval is like twice what Mark Zuckerberg's is.
All right.
So Elon...
Within
like recently. Yeah, it's like a recent story.
But I mean, within one of his companies?
No, I think just public.
Oh,
just
public.
in the public eye.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mark Zuckerberg is seen as way less favorable than Elon Musk, which is funny because Elon is so controversial. But the fact is, we see him standing on principle. I mean, he's done things that you wouldn't do unless you truly believed it.
Right.
That seemed at the time disadvantageous, like buying X and stuff like that, and standing up for things that you believe in that went against the tech crowd and California. So you see that in him and you're like, oh, he's being genuine. He's authentic. So that authenticity is what makes people like you.
Well, at least he doesn't look like an alien anymore.
Elon or Mark Zuckerberg?
Mark Zuckerberg.
They both look like aliens. So.
Zuckerberg doesn't. But now he looks like a senior at Bronx High School of Science.
Yeah. And he has like a tan.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to look. He used to be compared, a reptile, right? And then also kind of like Commander Data.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
you remember the water skiing?
Oh, with the face
video? Yeah, that was
just weird.
He's just a weird guy. Okay. Well, speaking of Elon Musk.
Okay.
You and I watched together. We watched the not news conference, I guess the interview with Hannity the other night.
Elon and Trump
being interviewed by Hannity.
Sean Hannity, yeah.
And one of the things, and this drew up a heated debate over the past couple of days about the political talking about the astronauts being stranded in space, and they were stranded there for political reasons. Now Trump said it,
yeah,
and Elon said it,
right,
and the press has jumped all over it
for not being true, right?
For not being true,
right.
But you have to look at what was said and how it was said. So go to. I think I have it on this one. Roll 28.
28.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to say something, and you have to see what they said. You have to hear the words.
Instruction: we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed, kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now, if I had the weight of the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, But when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success. So, as long as we're not complacent.
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks.
And it's even sooner now.
Yeah.
Really?
And we're being extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden.
What's that?
He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave him in space.
Well, it's like when we were growing up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity. Can you believe it?
Online commentators were shocked with
So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to I don't have a clip for it, but if you go to the astronauts, actually what they say about it.
Yeah.
This is the quote that the media is running wild with. They're saying that the astronauts what are their names? Butch and Sonny? Butch and Sonny? I think that's their name.
Okay.
Butch and Sonny.
Are they Chip and Dale dancers? What does that mean? Butch and Sonny. Okay.
Butch and Sonny.
Yeah.
They quote them as saying, well, we don't feel stranded, But
we don't feel stranded.
not feeling stranded doesn't mean that you haven't been stranded.
It'll also, I mean, you don't want to talk bad. I mean, you're not going to say anything controversial while you're still waiting to be rescued.
Well, that's true, especially, and they work for NASA. And the whole idea, of course, the whole idea was that the election was coming up. NASA this is a failed NASA project because they couldn't bring him back. And thank God. And they did ask, or Musk did offer to send a SpaceX ship up there and take them back.
Right.
They turned it down.
Yeah, right.
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 And so they're saying that, well, they didn't turn it down, but they did. They turned it down. There was a delay, like a couple of days later, and then another delay all through June. Delay. I think they received at least 3 delays, and then finally the last delay was, well, we're not even going to. It's an indefinite delay.
Right.
Indefinite delay, right up before the election.
Yeah. So they've been up there a year, and they were supposed to be up there like a week or
almost
something.
a year.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the funny thing is,
so the thing is, Elon's had the opportunity to rescue. Like SpaceX has.
Yeah, and they are. And they are going up now.
Yeah, but they had the chance, and the Biden administration was like, "No, we don't. We'll do it ourselves." Right.
That is correct. That is
Terrible.
correct. And it's not like they're up there suffering, right?
Right.
They're hooked up to the space station.
Yeah, the International Space
Space Station.
Right.
They're not alone. They're not, Major Tom sitting in a tin can.
Yeah.
Which is another issue because I have claustrophobia, as you know.
Oh God. Yeah.
but which I
do too.
I want to touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
You have claustrophobia? I didn't know that.
To a degree. I
yeah.
think everybody does to a degree. Yours is probably worse.
I don't know.
I get the thing like I know you get this too because you've mentioned it before. Like boots. With me, boots.
Like for your feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boots that go on your feet.
Yeah.
The high kind.
Yeah.
If I'm like all like bundled up for winter or whatever, like this happened at school when I used to have to like trudge through the snow to get to class. If I have big boots on and I'm sitting there in a room and it's starting to get warm and I have big boots on my feet, I start to get like I get claustrophobic.
Really?
I feel like something's stuck on my feet.
Wow.
Like if I have shoes on, it's fine.
Yeah.
But boots, it's like I got to get these off right away. And I know it's going to take like a minute to get them off. I'm going to have to like wiggle them off. That like freaks me out.
Well, I jumped out of a plane one time because I was claustrophobic.
You did not jump out of a plane. No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. It was on the ground.
On the ground. Very different.
Yeah. Well, I was let out. But aside from that, the first time I noticed
a tiny plane, right?
Yeah, it was a tiny plane. I was going from I was on my way to Texas, and I was leaving from the airport here in Hyannis.
Yes.
And they put you on a little tiny plane. You go up to Boston first, and then you fly out of Boston. And I've been in small planes before. This was really, really small.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the back seat right behind the pilot, and his neck was like here, and the roof is here, and I'm like ducked down a little bit, and the window is here, and the door is there, and there's somebody sitting next to me, and their shoulder is touching me. And I'm going, oh no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
I mean, it wasn't like a Cessna. Right?
Yeah, it was like a Cessna. It was one of those little things.
Yeah, that's scary.
I don't know. I forget what kind they used. It was Cape Air. They have pretty small planes.
Yeah.
And I guess they have different sizes, but it's pretty small.
I think it's different now.
They're just these little puddle jumpers. They just,
Yeah.
And anyway, I said, I got to get off. They closed down the whole airport.
To get you out.
Yeah, they had to close down the whole airport.
That's funny. Yeah.
And then I just went the next day and
took a bus or something.
I took a bus up to Boston and
that's
then
easy. That's easy.
And then I to Logan and then just flew to Dallas.
Last time I got on the bus to Boston, the guy he didn't speak English, and he was like, I swear he was like driving in the middle of the highway. It's a 2-lane highway, right? I swear it was like early in the morning. He's just like in the middle, and I feel the bus like going like this. I'm like, what's going on?
Really?
Yeah, really.
I think I was drunk.
I was with Chris, and she was like, I think it's fine. And I'm like, are you sure? I think we're in the middle of the highway. I don't think we're in the lane right now.
Well, the thing, getting back to the space station, the space station is like 800 square feet of living space.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're hooked up. I think it's separated to like 3 or 4 different compartments. I don't know the exact. They got plenty of food, plenty of air. They have people. There's like a total like 7 people, I think, up there altogether.
Okay.
So they have social interaction. they're not starving. That
Yeah,
one,
yeah, yeah.
that Butch has got quite a belly on him. So I mean, they're certainly not starving.
I thought you had to be fit to be an
I
astronaut.
thought so too.
Why, is he fat?
Yeah,
We have a fat astronaut named Butch in space right now.
he looks a little porky to me. Maybe he's in very good shape. You know, a lot of these sumo
That sounds like
wrestlers
the
are in very good
exact
shape.
type of astronaut America would send to space. That guy named Butch. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're up there. They're not isolated. They're not orbiting the Earth. And I was down in D.C. I went to the Smithsonian Institute down there.
Okay.
And I was looking at, they have all of they have the LEM, the lunar modules, and they have the capsules, the Gemini capsules, and you can go and you can see what it's like. You could look in there and see what it's like. Oh my God. Yeah. Sitting in a tin can. That's what it's like.
Right.
It's like, I can't imagine doing that for hours, days, weeks.
Yeah. Long time.
It's absolutely crazy.
Long time.
And the isolation. So they're not isolated. I work with,
what about being like a deep sea diver or submarine?
Same thing.
Oh my God.
Same thing. I would not
The
like
Titan,
that.
the one that imploded.
I would never do it. I wouldn't do it.
No.
Which they found pieces of recently.
Yeah, right. On the sea floor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, they say that it imploded in like 20 milliseconds or so, like something crazy at that depth, like a breach, just boom, like immediate.
Right.
So you don't even know what's happened.
Right.
Now you might know something's wrong beforehand, but at least the actual event itself is quick.
But the way that the press is handling, quoting Musk and not quoting Musk, quoting the astronauts. The astronauts are not debunking. They are not arguing against what Trump and Musk said at all.
Well, did you see?
And they present it as if they are.
Did you see?
It's terrible.
Elon,
it's fake.
Did you see Elon arguing on X with the
saw
ISS commander?
Yeah, I did. I saw.
He called him retarded.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, "You are retarded."
He said, "Well, he said fully retarded."
Fully retarded.
Yeah.
And then he said they should deorbit the ISS.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to anyway in 2030.
Oh, yeah?
I think. Yeah, 2030 we're going to do that, and he's going to do it. It's already been set up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he says let's do it now. But now he's in a position to go to the president and say, hey, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's outlived its usefulness.
Right. Well, okay. Well, did you know about the drill hole in the ISS?
The drill hole?
Yeah.
No.
I think it was in 2021. I think it was 2021. There was an emergency where they were what do you call it? Depressurizing. They were depressurizing.
Right.
They were trying to figure out why. There was some sort of breach somewhere in the ISS, and they found a hole made by a drill through the ISS, through the hull, that they then patched up and fixed.
That's crazy.
And they found a hole.
How did that happen?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Somebody drilled it.
Yeah, somebody drilled it. Russia blamed an American astronaut, some woman who was up there.
Oh my God.
They said that she had she went through a medical emergency, and this is all speculation by Russia. They said it was probably her. She had a medical emergency, some sort of, I think she had like deep vein thrombosis or something crazy. And she had a psychotic break. And she did, and then of course the internet ran wild with it and was like, I don't know how much of it is true, but they came up with backstory about her and how she wanted to get the hell off there, and she just went psycho and was complaining and drilled a hole through the ISS to get off it, like so they'd let her off or something.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the U.S. completely denied it, said like, yo, how dare you blame one of our astronauts? Yeah. But the fact is, they found a drill hole and they don't know who made it.
That's crazy. Well, somebody made it. An astronaut made it.
Somebody. Okay. There is claim like, oh, like it was done on Earth and it was sealed but not well or something like that. But they never proved any of it. It's just it's all
How
speculation.
long ago was this? I missed it.
A couple of years ago. I mean, it's so crazy to think about that you think it would have been like a huge story.
Right.
But they kind of swept it under the rug. So that's weird. I mean, if I'm in space floating in a tin can, I don't want to find out that some psycho is with a drill is running around.
Right. Crazy.
Oh yeah. So speaking of Elon, let's stay on Elon. We talk a lot about Elon, but he's really important right now. The DOGE stimulus checks.
Right.
Have you heard about that?
Sure.
Or, okay, they're calling them tax dividends. So
Tax
not
dividends.
a stimulus check.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Of course.
Okay.
Sure. $5,000.
it's probably not going to be 5,000.
I think it should be 50,000 or more. But go ahead.
Well, where are they going to get that from?
Well,
they can't. There's not that much money.
I know, but I'm just making a point.
Okay, so are you?
The point is, $5,000 doesn't come close to what
they've stolen. Yeah. So okay, so here's the question.
Yeah.
Do you support or not support the DOGE tax dividends? The idea, the concept, not the amount, not the specifics.
Yeah.
Do you support or are you against it?
I absolutely 100% do support it.
You support it.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of fiscal conservatives are really against it.
And
they really
can
don't
I guess
like it.
why?
Sure.
Because they want to reduce debt.
Yeah.
So that's baloney.
They say it's fiscally irresponsible.
That's why it's only 20%.
Okay. Yeah, it's only 20%.
We still have 80% to do other stuff with.
Also, a lot of people say, oh, it's going to be inflationary because it's going to pump money into the economy and stir up demand. And
that's not inflation.
So prices are going to go up.
That's not inflation.
Well, so it could be inflation because you're gonna putting more money into circulation increases inflation. That's what
it does.
That's what the Federal Reserve does.
Right.
They increase M2, but that's one of the money supplies. Anyway.
Yeah. As opposed to M1, M3.
Yes. So, okay, but the point is, if DOGE is decreasing government spending by $1 trillion, let's say, so whatever the amount is, let's say it's $1 trillion.
Okay.
If they decrease government spending by $1 trillion,
and it might be two, yeah,
and then 20% of that goes toward a tax dividend, which would be government spending, really, if you think about it. That's still an overall decrease in government spending. So that's still less money in circulation. So it should be deflationary. It shouldn't be, people are worried about it being inflationary. People should be worried about the DOGE cuts to spending being deflationary. And then
you don't want deflation either.
Well, you certainly don't want it too fast. That's
slowly is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
same thing with inflation.
But the point is, any inflationary pressure is probably going to be offset by the savings
you would think
from
so.
the rest of the DOGE findings
Could
anyway.
Be.
But yeah, I think it's good. It's also, aside from, the principles of the matter, no, it should all go toward paying. I get it. But if you do like a one-time tax dividend, that is such good, you could call it marketing if you wanted to. It is amazing.
Yep.
It is amazing.
Yep.
Because we need to be practical. We can't just stand on theoretical principle because you just lose that way. It's like, we're saving money. We saved $1 trillion. This year, we're going to save $1 trillion going forward now in perpetuity, right? Because the DOGE, the stuff they find, that's not going to be re-implemented. Hopefully, that's going to keep going. Those cuts,
right?
So you think, those cuts are going to keep going in perpetuity. Well, let's do a one-time, call it a thank you, call it a compensation, call it whatever. Let the people know you're hearing bad stuff about DOGE. You're hearing we're not doing anything. You're hearing we're up to no good. This is what we did. And this is your reward for trusting us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great thing
it shows
to do.
that it works. It's a signal. It sends out a signal.
That's exactly
It's a signal. Right. It sends it out, and it lets people. And also, it highlights the source of the money.
Yeah.
Right. It highlights the corruption that's been going on for all of these years.
Right.
And I think we're going to find out. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just a tiny bit of it.
Because it's saying this money that you're getting from us in a check, was going to go toward this, and this.
Right.
We saved it. Here's some of it back. The rest of it has to pay down the debt.
That's right.
So I think it's a great thing to do.
And we haven't even gotten into where they say that most of the corruption, most of the waste and fraud has been taking place is in the Pentagon.
The Pentagon.
And then we have a lot of stuff in the FBI too. I think it's less about the money in the FBI.
Yeah.
I think so. The other stuff. But the
you mean just corruption in general?
Just corruption in general, like as far as the elections and everything from January 6th to
CIA too, by the way.
CIA also.
Yeah. Well, the thing, so here's the thing with the USAID. USAID, let me just summarize it for a second. That's the body that is essentially they're essentially the other arm of the CIA, right? They are the ones that provide money to foreign countries and basically wage influence campaigns to get the leaders they want elected that are going to be beneficial to the United States and stuff like that. And they implement these crazy social programs like the, what was it? A transgender musical in Ireland or something, something crazy like that. Sesame Street in Afghanistan or whatever it was.
Right.
But the thing is, these are, and one of them, voter outreach in India. It's like, X million dollars to voter outreach in India. It's like, okay, well, voter outreach. Well, who did you want people to vote for?
Yeah.
That's an obvious example. So because you want to change the cultures in these places to make them like the United States, make them side with the United States and partner with us because we want partnerships. So that's the thing. DOGE is cutting a lot of these programs, and it's being marketed as inefficiency and waste and fraud. And it's true. People are getting rich off all this stuff. There's definitely a lot of graft. But at the same time, okay, well, this is an apparatus that's being used to maintain spheres of influence across the world, right? Spheres of influence that, if it weren't for us, would essentially be controlled by China. Because if China controls the means of production across the whole world, well, we're at the mercy of China, basically. So the question is, well, how do we maintain these partnerships? How do we maintain a leg up on China and make sure our supply chains are not compromised by other world powers getting involved and taking over these countries? I'm not sure what the answer to that is. The system we have now certainly can't work because that's just throwing billions and billions of dollars.
Just throwing money at people.
Just throwing billions of, and keeping a lot of it themselves too. I mean, people are
That's
getting
the
rich.
problem. That's part of the problem.
So I don't know what the right answer is. It has to be more transparent. It has to be like, listen, we need a partnership with this country. Where it's kind of what Trump does already. He posts, hey, we're tariffing the hell out of you if you don't do exactly what we want. Like what he did to Panama, right? He said, Panama, we're taking it back because you're letting China have too much influence over your country.
Right.
And we're going to be the influence, not China. And I guess we have the power to kind of strong arm them into that. And people see it as, oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. It's been happening for years under the radar, under the guise of USAID. And all along the way, billions of dollars have been going out the window to other people getting rich at the same time.
Right.
So we need a transparent way of doing it. But we still need to do it somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. The point is, it has to be transparent. It has to be above board, and it has to not allow all these bastards to get rich along the way, wasting our money, stealing our money. So, okay, is that all?
That's all. Yeah, we have to keep an eye on. It's important to be up on the news, to be up on things.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, they brag a lot about, oh, I don't pay attention to the news, I'm not political. But politics is important.
I know.
Politics affects all of your affairs. It affects your career, your quality of life, the food you eat, your job, your family, the people, everything.
It affects how much stress you're under.
That is true.
Even if you don't know it because you're trying not to pay attention, you're going to be under more stress.
Right.
And you can not know why, but it's going to be there. And of course, our whole thing with the non-contemplative meditation in the app and everything is building resilience to stress.
Correct.
So you have to build resilience to stress.
You can't run from stress.
Yeah, you can't run from
stress. If you run, and that's what people do. I work with alcoholics and drug addicts all the time, and people addicted to all sorts of behaviors and substances. And one of the things, I used to work for a while at a rehab down in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You were very young then.
No, I remember.
Okay. And one of the things that I used to do was part of my job there was I used to take, most of them were drug addicts. Mm-hmm. Part of my job was to take them to an NA meeting. And I would never have been to an NA meeting except that I had to take them to, I would load up.
Narcotics
Anonymous.
Yep.
And which is very different from Alcoholics Anonymous. It's just different.
What if you're just a drug user who doesn't take narcotics, but you're still like a drug user?
Yeah, that's what NA is for.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that I heard there when I would take them there is they concentrate. They have all their favorite subjects that they talk about there.
Okay.
One of the things that they talk about a lot is isolation. I isolate because their therapists and their counselors tell them don't isolate, and and it's true, they do. They lock themselves up in rooms or leave jobs, and they isolate and they stay away from it. And it's not, they think they're conquering their resentments, but they're not. They're giving into it.
Right.
They're succumbing to it.
Right.
And
by running from it.
Yeah. And that's what they do. They don't socialize and they don't stay on top of things. And a lot of the people that I speak to, they say, well, you shouldn't have, put that post on, you shouldn't have tweeted that thing about politics. I'm not into politics.
Yeah.
I said, well, you can't stay away from it. I'm not political. I don't run a political social media station or anything like that. But I'll say something in support or not for a political issue.
I know, but at the same time, what is not being everybody's political. There is no not being political.
There is no not being political.
What we're going through right now.
It affects everything in your life.
What we're going through is so important.
It is.
It would literally be like living through, I don't know, like the American Revolution or something, being like, nah, I don't pay attention to politics. It's like, all right, well, good luck, buddy, because things are happening fast here. It's going to affect you a lot, so you better start paying attention.
Right.
This isn't 1950. You can't just pretend. It's like, no, I don't like getting into politics. It's like, no, we got big things happening.
What they don't like is they don't like the conflict. They don't like the resentment that the other side raises.
They don't like the
them.
resentment.
They don't like the resentment in their own selves.
Yeah.
Because that's what, especially with alcoholics and drug addicts,
right? That's
what got them in trouble in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
Because even these
addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. It starts with resentment. Resentment is, they call that's a spiritual disease, and the substance, the psychotropic behaviors and substances that they take, it's in order to feel better about feeling so bad.
Right.
So that's a need. They need to feel better. If they didn't have the need, they would never need those substances. And then they get addicted to it.
Right.
So they don't want that pain. And it's the pain of the things that they see that they disapprove of, that they don't like. So they separate from that. And they think by separating from that, I've always said that, hey, if you ran away from the world and just, set yourself up in a cave somewhere, with a candle and food and hold up for a year, you would not escape the world. You would start to resent the shadows cast by the candle.
Yeah.
You would resent the smell of the cave. You would resent your own clothing. It would just come. It would get.
I forget who it was. It's a famous author. I think. I heard somebody retell a quote from him the other day. I don't remember who retold it. I don't remember the author, but the idea was, he's like, I have so much love for the world. I love humanity. It's people I hate.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
I've heard that, yeah.
And it's like, I can like if I'm your roommate, it's like by day 3, I hate your guts.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, oh, the sound he makes when he wakes up. It's like the way he yawns, the way he pours his cereal. It's like, oh my God, I can't stand this guy. But I love humanity until it's around you.
Yeah,
and
because
you hate it.
These are people who are full of hate.
Right. They would hate anything.
Yeah.
They would hate anything.
It's what, it's classic. It's almost comical. Yeah. They got married and they got divorced a week later. He didn't put the cap on the toothpaste, whatever it is, he left his socks on the floor. Or it's people. There's something inside of people that hates something inside of people that hates something inside of people.
And going back to politics though, politicians, and whether they know it or not, some of them do. And those are the really smart ones. Some of them don't. They do it anyway. They rely on you resenting what they do and what they say.
That's right.
They rely on that,
of course,
to get things done. Whether it's fear mongering, that's a classic one, or getting you to overreact. That's the example I love. It's like, why is he doing those things? He's doing something blatantly wrong. It's blatantly illegal. It's blatantly because he wants you to overreact.
Right.
It's
like, why aren't they hiding what they're doing?
Right.
They don't care. They don't care if they're found out.
Right.
They know they're going to upset you.
Yep.
And once you're upset, you will do anything to feel better.
Yeah.
Including kiss their butt, give them your money.
That's true.
Give them your approval, give them your love, vote for them. You'll do it.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. All right.
I think that's it for today.
I think it is too.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Next time.
All right.
All right. Bye.